Okay, now it is true that some of the best conversations happen around food, y'all, and what you're about to see and hear is proof.
Have you ever been dominated before?
No. Get some shots and bring out the whips.
I need you just to give me a sign that you like me.
Compromise to me means I am taking your feelings and your emotions and your thought process into consideration.
That is really good. Jesse called off his wedding.
2 weeks before we were supposed to get married.
Jesse.
She's still married, that fool. No.
Jesse.
Just a heads up that today's episode deals with relationships and adult topics, so if you have minors or if you're not comfortable, you may want to skip this one. But if you stick around, you'll be thoroughly entertained, educated, and enlightened on how all of us are just trying to set healthy boundaries in our relationships. This is less about racy stories and more so about how we all long for and desire connection. The conversation was so good and hilarious, we're letting it play in its entirety. Enjoy. Well, welcome. So for those that are watching this and are actually listening to this and cannot see, we're actually eating a cold udon noodle salad bowl with some shrimp, and I'm keeping it plant strong with some shiitake mushrooms. So I don't think that I've been more excited about an episode a little bit than this one. I think when we were talking about it, because it's a topic that I think that all of us kind of think about, but I don't know. I don't do very well often. Jesse, do you set boundaries pretty well?
I mean, yeah, try to.
Yeah.
A little bit different now that I'm married.
Mm-hmm.
Not dating. I'd say that boundaries look different, obviously, because it's not just about me anymore, right?
Yes.
I got another person to consider. So.
Absolutely. And with you, I think it's a little bit different because you're the only person at this table that is married currently. Mm-hmm. Is that still a true statement?
Yeah.
Everyone? Okay. With Ryan and Jade? Okay.
Yes.
So
Single.
I'm single as well. And Ryan, you have an interesting take on relationships. So what I'd love to do first is, first off, we've got Ryan from Dallas. He's an attorney. And we've got DJ, radio personality, influencer, fashionista.
Overall that. Badass.
Yes, overall badass. Baddie. The best voice in Dallas. Can we put that on your like on your profile? The best voice in Dallas?
I don't know if that's the truth, but you know what? I like being at the table with you guys. Hype me up. Okay.
Yeah.
But she is the best voice in Dallas, Miss Lady Jade. Okay, so today's episode is all about sustainable boundaries and how we do that in relationships. So I thought, Ryan, you have a great perspective. So Ryan and I became friends because I lived in the same condo for 10 plus years, and it was around the time of COVID. This guy comes up to me. He wasn't tatted up as he is right now. This is the craziest thing. He was straight laced. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about a big square. I gotta say, my guy was a square.
Kevin is calling somebody else.
I know.
Oh, you're square. Wait a second.
That's
She
awesome.
telling the truth, because if I say you a square, oh oh man, he is a whole cube. All right, so
That's 3D.
Oh man,
God.
They're laying into you.
yeah, I know, right? But he starts coming up and he starts talking to me first off about diet, and then one day he starts asking me about relationship stuff, and I'm just like, oh, I don't have anything to give because I'm still trying to figure it out. Mm-hmm. And then he starts to talk about his multiple relationships, and I'm at the time thinking,
Wait. We got to back that up. His what?
Multiple relationships. And I was thinking that he was talking about different instances, not realizing that he was talking about them all at one time. So, Can you give a little bit about your relationship history, just to set the context for this conversation?
And hold on, can I give context to people that are just listening and not watching?
Yes.
He is an extreme, he looks like a model. He doesn't look like an attorney. I'm gonna hype you up because I need the ladies to understand before we get your perspective and hate you, okay? Okay, do continue.
That's good.
So, I mean, you're right. Before 2018, I was just struggling with women, and I kind of had a little glow up in 2018. I started working out, eating, dieting. I mean, honestly, thanks to you, that Fitman Cook app really helped. I would push the boundaries more and more. So, started with this one girl who was from Austria, and I just realized, wow, I can, tie her up,
Like physically or
tie her?
mentally?
Yeah, like tie her up, like physically with rope and
Oh, snap.
just all kinds of like the BDSM realm,
So,
right?
Can I just press pause for a second? So, I just want you to imagine me getting my groceries out of my car.
Oh,
Him
snap.
coming up to me.
And he's like, hey, bro,
I was
you ever
like-
tied a girl up before?
What? I was like,
So you're like locking all the locks on your door at that.
okay. So, yes, go ahead.
Okay. Can I stop and ask questions?
Please.
Yeah.
How did you discover you could tie her up? How does that?
It just, I never thought I could get away with that kind of stuff with women before 2018. So, and I'll be completely honest. Like, I got on testosterone, and it was like the testosterone cypionate shots. So, testosterone goes up, confidence goes up. I'm starting to put on some muscle. I for perspective, I'm 6'1", and I used to weigh, in law school, the least I ever weighed was 135. I was taking Adderall, Vyvanse, all that stuff, Xanax to like go to sleep. I was not in a good mental headspace, physical space. So anyways, I put on probably like 50 pounds thanks to testosterone. And the confidence that I got from that, just, look, the mentality was always there. I've always internally been a dom. I never had the confidence to go out there and do the things that I wanted to do. Little by little, I would just push the boundaries, right? And then I would start talking to this Austrian girl about bringing other girls in. And she said maybe, I never really did it with her, but I met this other girl afterwards. And this girl I ended up being in a relationship with for like 2.5 years. And she not only liked women, she loved women. So that was really where I started to experiment, and I learned a lot. And I loved that girl. I still do. I still love this girl. But, obviously we're not together anymore. And the things her and I did were just crazy. We ended up moving to Las Vegas together. We got on OnlyFans. We were going to these content parties.
Ron, you are lying to me. This is like a movie.
It's
That's
For
what
real.
I'm telling you, it was so great.
you were living vicariously. Come
I was
tell me
like,
another story.
Oh my God! Oh, this isn't even part. Please.
Okay,
continue.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
And I can speed this along too if you want me to. I'd love to.
Yeah.
So because I think that your question is really good, Lady Jade, about like how did you know that? And so because that's a boundary that perhaps that you wouldn't. Would you let someone tie you up, Lady Jade?
Hold on. No, I'm just joking. I'm just trying to figure out how that presented itself. Like, did you just have some rope laying around and you were like, and I'm not really trying to be funny. I'm just like, seriously, was it like, because I think when you really are into it with somebody, like whatever is in the area, you may like, hey, have you ever, like, I'm trying to figure out how you guys got into it. Cause
Was it a fantasy?
So when I met Olivia, I already had a tattoo on my thigh, and it was of a nun with a ball and gag in her mouth. Yes. So
this story keeps getting better
on
and better.
I mean, if y'all want to see it, I'd be glad to show y'all, but I got to pull my pants down, so I don't know how far y'all want to go with that. But anyway, just trust me, it's there. Okay.
I mean, okay,
Just
all right,
trust
it's
me,
fine.
it's there.
It's not that far up because you can see it whenever he's wearing basketball shorts, so you
Gotcha.
can see it right
Yeah,
there.
it's my thigh.
So that probably sparked conversation.
And funny enough, like a month before I met Olivia, I was talking to this other girl. She was a beautiful Italian girl, and we were having a FaceTime date, and she tells me that she's Catholic, and I was like, oh my God, I got to tell you something. I have a tattoo of a nun with a ball and gag in her mouth.
Just so you know.
And she went in on me. Oh, that's the most disgusting thing I've ever heard. How could I ever introduce you to my parents? What if they see the tattoo? How am I going to explain that to them?
Is this after y'all were together?
No, this was just on the first date. You know, it was like a FaceTime date, right?
okay.
And then we never saw each other. And talked.
Clearly.
Yeah. But Olivia, on the other hand, when I showed her the nun tattoo, she told me later on, after we started dating already, that that's when she knew she wanted to fuck me, was because of the nun tattoo. Because, you know, it's, there's a little something different there.
Right.
So yeah, but as far as setting the boundaries go, when I was on that first date with Olivia, I was still barely getting into my confidence. I was still learning who I am. And I think if I met Olivia now, this version of me, I think her and I would still be together. We would work, because at the very beginning of the relationship with Olivia and I didn't know how to handle that type of relationship, a polyamorous or swinging style, or, threesomes, foursomes, whatever. Right.
Mm-hmm. How did? Oh,
Dang, he said foursomes. I mean, I'm just intrigued. I'm like, wow. So So I do want to ask you a question. Before 2018, how were your relationships?
I've always done okay, but it was like I had one threesome with these two girls, probably back in like 2016, and that was it. I wouldn't even have the courage to ask a girlfriend to have a threesome with me. I wouldn't even know how to broach the topic. But at a certain point, I think it was honestly because of the testosterone. I just stopped. I was just like, fuck it.
So let me just put a thumbtack in that. When he first approached me, it was in the hallway, and he was asking me about diet stuff. And he said, "What can I do to gain some weight?" Now, because of my schedule, I wasn't like always there. And about 3 months later, I see him, and he was really lanky. So I was like, pasta, potatoes are your friend. Stop doing all this cardio stuff too. Mm-hmm. I see him in 3 months, and I was like, okay, well, those aren't potatoes, and that's not pasta and potatoes.
Some extra help there.
to give you an idea of how fast it was.
Yeah.
And then it was literally almost like week by week, I would see like a brand new like tattoo. And so to your point is I could see some type of transformation happening. And then the stories got deeper and deeper and deeper, which I was like, man, I am just really intrigued by that. So how did you start to, because part of the conversations that like we had is that you sounded really frustrated that like some of these women would get the wrong idea that you were in a committed relationship, So how did you begin to set boundaries with them and with yourself? Like, because I think that intimacy is something it's between two people generally, right?
Right.
It's really private. You're giving of yourself. You're really vulnerable. It's hard to sometimes to disassociate, like your feelings. So how do you do that with multiple partners?
So I don't really think polyamory is for me. I don't have a problem with it, but in my previous relationship, I only had feelings for Olivia. I only loved her. And I would get frustrated because, obviously I was taking testosterone and other things, and I had a high sex drive. So I wanted to experiment with other women all the time. And I think in order for a relationship like that to flourish, the man has to create a safe space for his partner. Mm. And I wasn't creating that safe space for her.
So basically you were just wilding out in a sense. Like it was never enough. Is that how she felt?
Yeah. And it truly, it was never enough. I think now I've done a lot of, I'm older now, and I've done a lot of work on myself. I've been doing yoga. I've gone to therapy and stuff. I've actually, there's a guy on Instagram. His name's Lauren Kren. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Are you familiar? Mm-mm. Any of you guys? He's a really, I think, brilliant guy. LORINKRENN. Mm-hmm. He said that men who chase a lot of women like constantly, they have a very strong father trauma, which that's the case with me. I without going into details of what happened, I mean, I think everyone's got some type of childhood trauma.
Absolutely.
But what he said about that specifically really hit home with me because, and now I've had some time to process that, and I've actually taken a step back. I've chilled out on, all that stuff. My goal right now is to find a partner, somebody that I love, and doesn't mean that I don't want to have threesomes or any of that kind of stuff anymore. Like I said, I don't think polyamory is for me, but like, you think I'm going to say no to a woman that I love and some other hot girl? No, like, bring it on, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But
so I got to ask you this because, so I'm completely opposite.
Yeah.
Now I see why you invited us, because I literally I believe in the intimacy between two people. And again, it's not being judgmental.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, to each his own. I just know me emotionally, I could not handle that.
Yeah.
Right. Because I don't understand how, and I'm going to say it from a woman's perspective. If I don't know how I could sit back and watch a man that I love, like, physically be intimate, because it's hard for me to separate,
Yeah.
you know, the intimacy from the physical, you know, because
Yeah.
I know that guys can, you know, screw girls and it's no feelings there. Absolutely. I mean, that can happen all day. But for me to sit there and watch that, every man that I've dated, they were not virgins, right? So I know that they've been with somebody else, but it wasn't something that I had to physically see. So I'm trying, like, in my mind, I just feel like, okay, so let me back up. I dated a guy one time, and I knew that previous to me, he had threesomes.
Okay.
He had, you know, a lot of women because he, you know, had money, he, you know, all this kind of stuff. And there was a part of me, and now looking back, I don't think I was being insecure. I used to always say, how could I ever please this man? Because if you've ever had multiple women in your bed, that's a lot of action going on. Like, that's a lot of.
Yeah.
So now when I'm trying to connect with you, and I'm trying to give you the best I got. You
Yeah.
hear me? Like, I'm really trying to please you because I love you. I don't think I could ever amount to what 2 or 3 or 4 women. That's just the way I think, right?
That's a boundary for you.
Yeah.
That would be okay.
Yeah.
And well, plus you have the complexity of being a public figure, so everything that happens to you kind of happens to all of us because we can kind of see it, and then you have the challenge of people weighing in on that too.
Yeah.
How do you set boundaries around that type of intimacy? Because I can just say, just from a guy's perspective, you know, what if you are dating someone that everybody kind of like wants to be with, and they're always commenting like on the photo, ooh, yeah, and she doesn't post anything, you know, that's crazy. It's just that she's beautiful, right? And so you got all these guys kind of, ooh, this and that. How do you set those boundaries? First off, with sharing stuff about your personal life, and then how do guys react to that too? Like what's the ideal man in that situation for you?
This is why I'm single. I mean, just to be honest,
It's hard, I bet.
because I need a man that is very secure. To your point, I don't post any ass pictures. I don't post, you know, I'm not that. I'm a very conservative person, but people are going to comment. People are going to be interested. I mean, that's just the way of life. I can't be with a man that is moved by that. So my boundaries are absolutely unhealthy. And I'll say they're unhealthy because of previous experiences. Now my boundaries are so black and white that I don't know how to live in the gray area. And the reality of life is gray, right?
Okay.
Everything is not black and white. So I go from, you can't get near me at all because I don't even want to think about the trauma of heartbreak or you becoming insecure or me feeling like you're competing with me because of past relationships, to if I do give myself to a man, if I do give my heart to a man, now I'm like wide open. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that scares me. And so it's like,
You're trying to find the balance.
I'm trying to
between
find,
two
I'm
opposites.
horrible at it.
Well, I'm going to say something then. Is she trying to find balance or is she trying to be in control? Because I think that part of being in a
Probably
relationship.
both.
Well, yeah.
Okay, maybe they.
That's for all of us though, right? Because we all have things that we want to keep in control. And so I think that just says like, okay, you find a sense of control in the extremes right now and maybe not so much in the gray area.
That's good. That's really, really good. Yeah. Oh, I do not want to cry at this table, but yeah, I mean,
Well, see, and that's why this topic I feel like is so important, because you've said a couple of buzzwords that I think that most people kind of don't think about when setting boundaries. It's relationships and then trauma. and how trauma really does affect the way that we connect with each other and set certain boundaries, like what's okay and what's not okay. And oftentimes we don't know what that boundary is until it's crossed, and we have a quick trigger reaction.
Yeah.
So oftentimes from a woman's perspective, when you set boundaries, like your mind is like, these are my boundaries. This is what I'm not going to cross. And then when you cross them, there's no coming back from that in a woman's perspective. So I kind of want to talk about, with you saying like threesomes, I have girlfriends that were married and allowed threesomes in their relationship. But when you dig a little deeper and you have these conversations, and this is not all women, right? I do, just like to the women you were dating, they enjoyed that. That's what they were into. But for a couple of my friends, they did it because they felt they were no longer pleasing. And so they crossed the line thinking this will make him happy. Right. And then
so their boundaries changed. Okay.
And they crossed the line. Yeah. But what they soon discovered is, well, once you cross that line, now you can't say, I don't allow that. I don't want that. I don't. And eventually over time, the relationship became very unhealthy. And I think that's the problem sometimes with women. We do want to please the men that we're with. If we really, truly love them, we really do want to please that man.
For sure.
And sometimes pleasing the man, we forget about our boundaries because all we're doing at the moment is trying to satisfy. Because sometimes, and this is not all men, but sometimes men have this strategic way of making you feel guilty. Like, I can say yes to you 1,000,000 times, but the one time I say no, it's like, oh, you don't love me like you used to? It's like, well, hold on. Yes, I do. Like, I really do. You're laughing, Kevin, because you've probably done it before.
What do you mean? Oh, my God.
I thought you loved me unconditionally. Well, hold on now. So, yeah.
That actually was a little bit too real. That's actually happened to me very, very recently. And, yeah, so sometimes whenever I think that boundaries can change over time.
Yeah.
Right. And they can shift. And sometimes just with that, like, example, well, you can't, like, give it and then take it away. You can't do that. And so I think that kind of gives this, like, you kind of go back to childhood, like, that's my ball. You can't do that, right? So I think it's the inconsistency there. When you were talking about, you said that polyamory is not for you. What was that type of, okay, I've maybe crossed this boundary for myself, and now I don't think that I want this any longer? What was that moment?
So I've never really been polyamorous.
You just been...
So can you define the difference? So in other words, you never loved more than one woman at a time? Is that what...
No, I wouldn't say that.
It's not even love. It's being in a relationship.
It's being in a relationship. So that's polyamory. Is I'm in 2 simultaneous relationships, or she's in 2 simultaneous relationships.
Right. But what you're saying is when you were participating in these multiple women, you were only in a relationship with one and not with the others. Did they know that?
Yeah. So, well, yeah.
No, because let me tell you, as fine as he is, if we go together, okay? I'm just joking.
We go together.
I don't care what you're telling Olivia. I'm telling you. No, I'm just joking.
Yeah. No, with Olivia, I claimed her so hard, right? Like I made hoodies with her pictures on it.
Wow.
On my Instagram, let's say if I had 12 photos up, 9 out of the 12, she'd be in my photos, right? Like it got to the point with her where my identity became like intertwined with her, right? So, of course, when I was with her, everybody knew that she was my wife, essentially, right? Like I don't feel like I'm single. I feel like I'm divorced now. Like still processing that whole situation. Mm-hmm. But after Olivia, I have become so I don't know if the word is like jaded or something, but I'm brutally honest with women now. I messed up a couple times. I was seeing this girl after I was done seeing Olivia, and but then I kind of started seeing Olivia again, and I didn't tell that girl, and that situation blew up in my face. So that wasn't good. But after all that collective experience was over with, so this new me, I'm brutally honest. So, for example, one of the things that I've done in the recent past is Tinder, Bumble, whatever. I'll invite 2 girls to dinner. I may not tell them
At
about
the same
it at the
time?
same time, and
Wow.
I don't tell them. Okay, so they'll come to dinner, and I'm just like surprised, you know, and yeah, we just
That's in real.
Oh, you know what? That's some movie stuff. I'm not gonna lie. That's actually kind of player, but I would literally like.
Yeah, it sounds like that.
So, are you
something
trying
that
to see
happened in a
how they're
movie.
gonna respond?
yeah, and the fact that I'm just so nonchalant about it, they stick around. You know, it's not like. So another example, I was at Ultra, okay? I was at Ultra this past March, and there were these 2 girls kind of like behind me and to the right of me. The one immediately to my right, she was okay, but the one further away was a smoke show. She was a rocket. So that was my target. Anyway, I didn't have a hotel. I had a flight out at 7 a.m. the next day. So I'm just thinking to myself, like, she's hot, but like, I'm not about to go and like go get a hotel, change my flight just for one girl. I'm like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it the right way. And I'm going to, try to get the threesome. If I get the threesome, then of course I'll get a hotel and extend my flight. So both of the girls were interested in me. I could have had either one of them, but me being the idiot that I am, I go for the threesome, and at first I'm talking to the one closer to me, then I'm talking to the one further away from me. I'm touching, the first one first and then the second one second. But then I touched the first one again after I had already been touching the second girl, and they speak Spanish, like they speak very little English. After I touched the first girl again the second time, they both kind of looked at each other. They gave me a dirty look and they walked away, because they knew what the fuck I was up to.
Yeah.
And I struck out, but I don't care. It's just, it's fun.
Well, you didn't really answer her question then, because, or like you kind of did, because she asked you, do women know?
Yeah.
Like going into it. And you're saying that your form of brutal honesty is just to surprise, we finna have the threesome or not.
Well,
Like-
but that's brutally honest. Like, you're meeting me for the first time, and here it is. Like, I dress myself in these tattoos,
Right, but to challenge you on that, then why do they have to show up to get that honesty? Because there's a time before.
Oh my God, I used my gas to come here. Seriously, why couldn't you tell me up front? Hey, look, I'm gonna have you and another chick. So now you're giving me the opportunity to make my decision before I am sitting in front of you. And I mean this respectfully, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. Like, your ego is so crazy right now, because it's like you're calling it honesty, but I'm seeing it as you're getting this weird, odd pleasure out of, it is an arrogance out of being, and again, I give credit where credit is due. You have, so you even say, I dress myself in these tattoos. So it's like, you're this character now. So like,
I love this guy. Look at his face. Yeah, that's what.
So it's like, at the end of the day, and I'm not telling you not to enjoy it if this is what you want to be, but you're gonna look up 10, 15 years from now, or God forbid, you're not like this smoking hot guy anymore, and then you're really gonna have to be like 50, rediscovering who you are, and realize how many people you've hurt along the way, and or like you really could have been solid with, again, whoever, if you really could have been solid with somebody, as opposed to being like,
I know.
You know what it is? It's like Tinder Swindler. Like, if you've ever watched that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that is good.
Yeah, that's,
But,
mean.
Okay, so you said that you've been doing like a lot of work on yourself, and I'm gonna just jump in here too, because I was gonna say that I see myself in some of this, but I have not done any of those activities. But in this idea that, like, sometimes whenever you're really heartbroken about something, and you said it's kind of like a death, you actually have to grieve that person. And so if you're still grieving Olivia, then it is quite possible that
That's
you
fair.
know that everything right now in this in-between stage, you're not really conscious of. You're not really thinking about their feelings. So it is a form of, like, like brutal honesty, because the honesty is like, this is who I am. Now, what she's saying is that like that honesty needs to be like up front, not like in the middle. Don't get it warmed up and all of a sudden, no, I would have never said yes to this. I would have never come out here then.
Yeah, you brought up something which is super fair, because obviously you've even brought up a couple of times you are going through a grieving process, which is fair. And I heard this statement. We did an interview years ago. This guy had this book, and basically his statement was, "Men don't heal, we hoe."
And that's the truth, because and
they, because what is it saying? You guys say it all the time. The only way to get over a woman is to get under
the pain away.
Oh, well, dang, I ain't heard that one.
It's actually a song.
I meant to get under another, get over her by getting under another. Okay, what are you listening to?
It is a song. It was on my playlist. It was on my gym playlist.
But let me ask you this, because that is an unhealthy boundary.
Yeah.
Does that truly work for men? Do you really ever get over a woman by going out and screwing everything under the sun?
No, but here's the thing though, but it's not just the screwing, it's also the weightlifting, because I deal with a lot of guys who will come and will ask me questions about like, hey Kevin, I want to do this. And I'm about like 90% sure. I was like, he just got his heart broken, I'm pretty sure. So, and it usually ends up like that. So when I'm working with them, then we also have to like address that piece. I'm like, all right. Yeah. So
I think regardless, guys can check out from dealing with trauma, and it just needs to be something else. It could be girls, could be the gym.
It could
be a job. Could be anything.
It could be anything. Yeah. It could be golf. It could be those things, because we're able to compartmentalize a little bit more so than most, and I think it's because we've been conditioned to maybe not be as vulnerable publicly,
right?
And so we have to kind of deal with things, or we're trained to deal with things internally. No, it doesn't help. It doesn't, but it helps to anesthetize the pain in the meantime.
Mm-hmm. I think it makes it worse.
It does.
So, post Olivia, I have gone through too many girls, and it got to the point where a girl would leave and I'd cry. Literally, I'd cry, and I was just like, "This." And
this is a girl you were dating, or just somebody you were intimate with?
No, so like in a single phase, right? Honestly, I was even kind of in like a little dating relationship a couple times, and I would even be with the girl and cry because I'm just so fucked up from from losing.
That's so
losing
real,
my
man.
girl.
Thank you for sharing that.
Honest.
Yeah,
thank you for sharing that.
So when you go out now and you meet women, you're constantly comparing, I'm sure.
It's horrible. It's horrible. And it's gotten to the point where in the last like probably 2-3 weeks, I've pumped the brake pedal. Like I'm trying not to see women right now. I've been doing yoga. I'm trying to heal for real. I'm trying to heal. And again, once I find that girl that I love, then let the fuckery begin. But it's got to be the right way, right? Yeah. I've learned from my past mistakes. I'm not going to make those same mistakes again. I haven't changed. I would love a threesome. I'd love a foursome, whatever. Mm-hmm. But I got to create that safe space for her. And I'm covered in tattoos, but I've got my back, which is, not a single tattoo on it. And
Does it say Olivia?
No.
Oh,
I'm saving my back.
Do you have an Olivia tattoo?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
She's the nun.
But you're saving your back for
my future wife.
Okay.
Yeah. Future wife. So I don't know. The wedding ring just whatever. It doesn't really do it for me. But a tattoo on my back of my wife would be.
That's funny. I have an ex that actually had. Well, I'm sure he's gotten it covered up.
Does he have one of you?
Yeah, but we weren't even married. Well, so just so you know, I got married back in 2014. I was divorced 10 months later. But when we were dating, he comes home one day and he's like, "I have a surprise."
How long were y'all together?
Okay, so we dated 12 years before that.
Oh, shit.
But what was crazy is we dated for a year, and we used to think we were soulmates. Mm-hmm. But we were never intimate the entire year. That's how connected we were. We had never had sex. We went our separate ways. we ran back into each other.
Yeah.
And we were at an age, so that, you know, at the time we were in our 30s. So it's like, either we're going to try this or we're not. So we only dated maybe a year and a half before we ended up getting married.
Oh, wow.
We were engaged within the first year because we had already kind of felt like we knew each other. But you don't know somebody when you haven't talked to them in 10 or 12 years. Things change over time, right? But yeah, he was like, I have something I want to show you. And he takes off his shirt.
Oh, God.
But it was absolutely stunning. It was a huge picture of me.
Oh, wait.
Like
he
a
got a
big
photo?
portrait.
Yeah, it was a portrait. It was like this
Not just a
amazing
name or
photo of
anything.
me that I had of my hair blowing in the wind.
Who was the tattoo artist?
Yeah, I'll give it to you. It actually looked exactly like the picture. It was stunning. But I'm not gonna lie, it scared me. Like I didn't.
Oh, come on.
Hold on. Let me say this. I didn't tell him this. It scared me because it was so sporadic and so much, and I knew his temperament. And it became a thing after that of like, when are you going to get a tattoo of me? And I was like, well, hold on. I didn't ask you to get. So you have to know the person, right? It's like, if that's just what you do, that's just what you do. But, and I had never had a tattoo at that time. I have tattoos now, but it was like, when are you going to get a tattoo? And I was like, that's not the way this works. It's not because you did it. Now I have to do it.
Right.
Like, so, but is it a beautiful thing? Yes. I will give you the tattoo's artist name. Outstanding, but I'm sure somebody told me he got it covered up with a lion now. So, but
hopefully so.
yeah, because that would be a problem.
Is it a fire-breathing lion?
Yeah.
You know?
He turned into a dragon.
Evil,
The dragon queen, ice queen from Game of Thrones.
would that scare you guys seriously?
It's got red eyes, shooting lasers out
I'm
of it.
sure he hates me now. Yeah, he does. Yeah, that wouldn't scare you guys if a woman came home and was like,
Absolutely.
"Hey, surprise!"
Yes.
Telling me, definitely.
Yes,
Of course,
absolutely.
yeah.
It depends on the woman. I'm crazy like that though, so that
Yeah, but that's no, and that's fair because because you do that, but that kind of freak me out. It reminds me of what is that? Fear, Mark Wahlberg movie. Remember when he like put that thing? It's like Nicole Forever, and it was like, oh, we're really doing this, right? So yeah, I don't think that I would appreciate that as much. But it's also that I'm really weird as well. That like I need you just to give me a sign that you like me, but I don't like for you to take the initiative to actually like do like stuff like that to let me be the aggressor and the person to like pursue you. It's a turn off a little bit. Like I like that chase. It sounds really crazy.
men are hunters.
Okay, yeah, and because I like feeling a little bit insecure in the relationship. Like, ooh, does she like me? Let me go and do something else. Like, but
You know what? I feel that.
But that
I feel
is.
that.
Oh my
But
gosh.
seriously, if you're a woman and you are going crazy about this guy and yada yada, or he's not acting right, and I tell my female friends, I say, hey, listen, you need to be a little bit more aloof because you're getting a little act right in them. You gotta do that.
Leave the mystery.
Yeah,
I
or
think
just-
I do that too much because I don't give enough, right?
Yeah.
Again, I have no middle ground, but I'm not I have been told that I have masculine energy, right? You do not have to look away and then look back at me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I
I
get
sure
it.
did.
That was giving. Yes, you're absolutely right. So I'm kind of like a guy in a relationship. I can be super nonchalant. I'm super loving. I'm going to make sure you're good.
Have you ever been dominated before?
No.
I think that's what she needs. I think she needs to be strapped down to a chair and just whipped and have
We are
hot
here
can-
now. We are here now. And this is the reason why I said these are two perfect guests, Jesse. We got to get them all at the same time.
I see why now.
And let me tell you, if you're listening to this, you should see Lady J right now turning red, and so is
my
Ryan.
God.
They are both.
I might as
turning
well be
red.
as well.
And Ryan said, hey,
Yeah,
I'm going to put this
Ryan
out
is
there.
red.
You need to be dominated.
I didn't say by me. I didn't say by me.
I didn't say
by
that you said
somebody.
that, but yeah, we're gonna because there's mystery there by somebody. So if you get a little DM, hey
hilarious.
big head, You already know.
It's just, you gotta, be put in your place a little bit. That's all.
Oh my god.
That's
Yeah,
all.
Oh my God.
That's all.
Is that?
Oh my goodness.
Let me tell you, she's interviewed so many like big like celebrities and whatnot. That's what she does for a living. The way that she is looking right now is hilarious to me. This is
That's why when you asked earlier, I don't think that I'm into all of that. You know what I mean? I mean, I've never tried that. It's never been a thought. But you mentioned earlier, like, have you ever been tied up? Would you let a man tie? Like,
boundaries changing.
no, they're not changing.
With
But
the right man.
when I'm intimate with a man, I like an alpha male.
Yeah.
But it's hard to be an alpha female and for an alpha male, because I think sometimes alpha males, they lack certain boundaries. They think that being an alpha male means you're bossy or controlling.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what an alpha male is, not a true alpha male. Mm-hmm. A lot of quote unquote alpha males to me have given me major insecurity vibes.
You may need a sigma male. There's betas, alphas,
Okay.
and sigmas.
Now explain to me what a
ahead.
sigma male is.
I'm a sigma, and I'm not trying to like
Oh
say
no,
something.
you don't have to worry
like,
about that here. So we don't.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be like I'm the man you're not at all.
No, I'm not reading into anything.
Yeah. So sigma males are generally, I think, more quiet. The alpha is loud. Can be aggressive. Sigmas are typically more laid back, and I don't really.
But there's a confidence though.
There's a confidence in a sigma.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
a laid back.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. It's a laid back confidence.
Yeah, I could say that about Jesse. Jesse's like that, but
I don't get
he
beta
can
male
still-
vibes from him at
not
all.
even-
Yeah.
no,
not
but
sigma.
there's a confidence about like what he knows how to do, and he carries himself.
To
And
give context for me, and like I've been married for almost 6 years now, and
awesome.
I was actually I was a virgin. I'd never had any sort of
Oh wow.
sexual encounter.
How old are you?
I'll be 32 this year.
32. Wow. Damn.
So
What's so crazy? Believe it or not, that's almost. I'm not looking for a virgin necessarily.
yeah,
But when I talked about that connection for me, I always say, I think that's so special. Nowadays, it's almost unrealistic, right?
Yeah.
Because if you really think about it, everybody's usually like, oh my gosh, like, well, how do they know what they're doing? At the end of the day, like, people can be taught, number one. Number two, when you have two people that don't have this astronomical amount of experience, then you don't have a bunch to compare it to.
right.
So there is a mental and spiritual connection that happens there. And then the intimacy just kind of works itself out. Does that make sense? I mean,
It makes a lot of
that's
sense.
what, I mean, I commend you for that.
It's
That's
like our
amazing.
grandparents' generation. I feel like they're mostly virgins, and then they get married and they stay with that one partner, and the divorce rate was much lower. Now everyone's fucking everybody. Divorce rate is 50-60%. Crazy. Anyways.
yeah.
So that's how I was, and my Olivia was the first one that I had sex with.
Really?
Yeah, and so that's why I can see myself a lot in that type of pain, because it took me years to really bounce back from that, because I'd waited so long. And from a faith perspective, I'm like, oh God, like what was the whole point of doing all of this?
Yeah.
And waiting, and then getting my heart just broken. And
Did
given
she
such
break
a
up
part.
with you?
It was mutual.
Damn.
It was mutual, and it was very, but it needed to happen, and it just took, and there are parts of it too, just because even now in therapy it comes up, and in other like relationships it comes up, and that trust was very hard.
Yeah.
So even though I'm not going out here doing it, crazy. I'm very like selective, because I need to have that like feeling of security and safety. But there was a point, where it was a little bit more like reckless, and because I am juggling tons of emotions. I'm juggling hurt, I'm juggling anger, I'm juggling fear, I'm juggling insecurity, because then I'm like, gosh, I wasn't even enough. And I'm carrying that. So my boundaries in relationships have kind of have shifted because trying to figure that out. So I don't think there's not a black and white answer, for things, just because we are complicated and we're forever evolving. So if we're forever evolving, so are our boundaries, generally, just because we don't really know. Case in point, a couple months ago, trying out dating again, got reached out to by a matchmaker, selected, got me this chick, and she told me.
Is that a service?
It's a service, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's
one of those. Is it one of the top tier ones?
Yeah, it's very expensive, and I recommend that if you do that, just make sure that you got a good one. But someone had reached out to me, on behalf of that, and the woman was was poly. I didn't know that at the time, and so when we're talking, and she brings it up, and I'm just like, you know what, maybe. And then about like a month later, as we're talking and doing stuff, and then she ain't, returning stuff, and I'm just like, no, it's not for me, dog. It's a no. I can't do it. I cannot do this at all. I don't need to be. Oh, I'm hanging out with the girls. Oh, well, what does hanging out with the girls mean?
Yeah.
Sparking a lot of.
We're going down to Colette's.
Yeah. It's like, oh, well.
Do y'all know what? You know about Colette's?
No, what is Colette's?
Colette's is a swingers club in Dallas.
Oh.
Y'all over here laughing? Yeah. No.
I knew it was either a swingers club.
Yeah.
I knew the context, but I didn't know exactly what it was. So, no. How many times have you been, Ryan?
I've been there several times. Now, hold on.
Got my card right here. Swipe on it.
Membership.
It's hilarious. All right. They have an orgy room with a window on it.
So people just sit back and watch it?
You can watch.
Oh,
yeah.
because what is it, voyeurism? Voyeurism when you just watch?
Well, I go there and I laugh. I don't like watch and, do anything.
Are people next to you doing that?
I've never seen anyone like jacking off to, the stuff. Like usually they'll just go in there if they want to relieve themselves.
Yeah.
That place is crazy.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let's thank you. Right. This
Learned
is
something new today.
I know.
They're having a Halloween party this Saturday.
I'm actually throwing it. Here's
Hey, honestly, I might go because I went to the Halloween party a few years ago with Olivia and like a bunch of friends, and it was fun. It was like I didn't do anything sexual there, but it's a good time.
2 last questions as we wrap up here. Compromise and boundaries. Do they go together? And
yes.
How do they go together?
I think in every relationship you have to compromise because it's out of respect for the other person. But I think that you can compromise and still uphold your boundaries. That's what I'm trying to learn to do. Does that make sense? It's like make sense. Compromise doesn't mean that my boundaries are no longer set. But compromise to me means I am taking your feelings and your emotions and your thought process into consideration.
That is really good.
Yes.
Very well said.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I would agree. Being married, there's tons of stuff that I've thought was the right way to do things, or Abby thought was the right way to go about it, and we disagreed. But then you find it's the only way to make a relationship go the long haul, I would say, because you have to be okay, like, laying down your pride, essentially.
You're not going to find somebody that you're 100% compatible with on 100% of the things.
We're so different,
Got to compromise.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, how did you know your wife was the one?
How did I know she was the one?
Yeah.
We have another podcast that talks about that whole thing.
Really?
Jesse was in a cult. And no.
What? Right.
It's true. I was.
He was in a cult.
Seriously?
And it's so good. Jesse called off his wedding.
I did. 2 weeks before we were supposed to get married.
Jesse.
In the name of God.
Jesse.
She still married that fool. No.
Jesse.
That's how I know she's the one.
Really?
No, but I think it's important for anyone that's dating that wants to take the next step to getting married to make sure you've gone through some really hard stuff together. Because in that moment, you can see how the other person reacts to a traumatic situation. We went through that because I called off the wedding 2 weeks before we were supposed to get married. And religion plays a whole role in this story where I'm thinking I'm doing whatever, God's telling me to do and this pastor's telling me to do and all this kind of stuff. I'm thinking I'm on this path and then my whole world is shaken up. But the one person that was always there was Abby. We never we never broke up during that whole time. We took a break from each other, all that kind of stuff, but we never used the words like, I don't ever want to be with you again or anything like that. It never got to that point. And that's how we knew. We knew that, like, regardless of what we're going to go through, we don't want to jump ship. We're going to be there. And that's how I know, because I had confidence that she wasn't going to be looking anywhere else. She had confidence that I wasn't going to be looking anywhere else, you know? So it simplified things in a sense. And I think a lot of people get married, right? And they may not go through a lot of tough stuff, and then they do. And granted, every situation's different. If someone's being abusive or something, you need to leave.
Right.
But you have the opportunity all of a sudden it's presented to say, like, okay, am I sticking with this person, or is it time for divorce? So
it's such a great segue to kind of like end on too, because all that is about boundaries, not only within your relationship, but also in your community, people that were influencing those, decisions. Bene Brown said, clear is kind and unclear is unkind. So take from that what you will. And I think that you can kind of like read between the lines, and that the more expressive you are about those boundaries, the more likely they will be respected. So what's next for you, Ryan?
Well, I just want to clarify one thing. So, when I say I'm inviting two chicks to dinner at the same time, there's a buildup. It's not just like, I'm taking some Christian girl and some Muslim girl and bringing them to dinner and being like surprised.
They gotta both be sacrilegious. I gotta send them a couple pics to know what they're into. Oh, okay, she's probably down.
Like
Let's go.
I do my homework, right? Like, okay, like you, I don't know. I'm just gonna go ahead and assume you don't like girls.
No, I don't.
Okay, so that explains a lot, right? Like, and of course I can tell, but when I'm working this double dinner date up with these girls, I'm doing, I'm working it, and if I get a sense that they're not into girls or that they wouldn't be down, I'm not gonna invite. I'm not crazy. I'm not gonna put myself in a situation.
You're borderline.
I'm a little crazy, but not like,
you are. You just asked her. We could tie you up. you need to be dominated and tied down.
Not by us, man.
But listen, hey, what I will say about this is that it was very deliberate to invite you and her together, because I knew the conversation was going to be great. One thing that I do admire about you, Ryan, is that you have been yourself. And I think that is very, very refreshing in a society where people try to present something else. And you are who you are, and you are growing into that. And I really do wish you the best. What is next for you, bro?
Honestly, man, I just got to heal, and I don't want to hurt anyone else. You're right. I've hurt plenty of people, plenty of women, and I'm not proud of it. And it absolutely kills me that I hurt Olivia the way I did. And I just need to heal, and hopefully, I'm not out looking for a relationship or anything. If one comes, it comes. If it doesn't, so be it. It is what it is.
I respect you. Yeah. I mean, I'm with Kevin. I respect your honesty. We can have different viewpoints, different beliefs, whatever, right? But I do appreciate, I've learned a lot today. I've been enlightened, and it doesn't make me look at you any different, because everybody's into different things. And I think that's the thing of life, right? Is that that's how you respect people's boundaries in a sense. It's like, I'm going to respect what you do. That works for you. You know what I mean? And I can't be mad at you for that. And I do appreciate, you're probably one of the most honest people that I've ever met.
Yeah, for real.
Well,
it's an odd honesty. It's like, he really said that, but I appreciate it. That was really crazy.
No, I'm serious. Because that's why Cardi B is who she is, because she's just like, listen, this is who I am. This is it. There's something that's attractive about a person who is honest about who they are in their own skin.
And a person like me, who I feel has such strict boundaries, I was literally checked 2 weeks ago about my boundaries, in the sense of, because I told somebody, I don't do well when it comes to friends and families. I struggle with setting boundaries. I give myself so much. And someone said, you think that's selfless, but it's selfish. And I was like, how is that possible?
I can see that.
And they said, because you do it so that you can say, I'm always here. You do it so that you can have this ego or this whatever about always showing up and always stretching your boundaries.
Yep.
They said it to me on TV. We were live on TV. And I was just like, but you know what? I received that.
Yeah.
I think we end up sometimes when we say we don't have boundaries and we think that we're so selfless to people, we're living into this stigma to make ourselves feel better and to make ourselves feel like a better person.
Right.
So I have to really check myself and say, why do I do that? Am I looking for the validation, right? By not setting boundaries. So, just trying to be self-aware.
Yeah. Is that what's next for you? Becoming more self-aware?
Absolutely. I want to be better and open, and I don't want to look back on my life and say I'm the same person I was 5 years ago. I like having conversations like this because I like learning about what other people do and what other people experience and being okay with people being different than me. So,
That's a word right
That's
there.
real good, yeah.
I know. I've seriously, this was such a great conversation.
Yeah.
I loved all of it. Let's just toast
Yeah.
to boundaries.
You're not supposed to toast with water, man. We're
Ryan
all
wants
going to get in
some
the car
shots.
crash today.
Get some shots and bring out the whips.
Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. Well, actually, I have some in my truck.
Well, hold my beer. Let me let's go down.
Hey, actually, from wooden spatulas they are one of my favorite spanking tools. I kid you not.
You didn't know you were turning Ryan on when you set the spoons on the table.
Ryan was triggered. Oh God, calm down. Don't grab the spoon. Don't grab the spoon. Whatever you do.
Mind blown.
Let me tell you, if nothing else happens from this episode, the sale of testosterone is about to go sky high, okay?
Oh, I'm gonna go this. What was it? Cypionate. Get this shit.
You got to inject that into your glutes twice weekly.
Do you really? Oh my God.
I'm not a doctor. No,
That's next
this is
week's
just a
episode.
joke.
That's it for today. Catch up on earlier episodes of At the Table wherever you choose to get your podcasts. And you can also watch full episodes on youtube.com/fitmencook. And for daily inspiration, follow Fitmen Cook on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Until next time, keep it healthful, but never, ever boring. Boom.